Georgina knelt down to sweep her into a hug. She burrowed her face against the top of Maria's head and breathed in her sweet-smelling hair. "I missed you too," she murmured. Georgina looked up just as Annabel's Aunt Frances emerged from the castle at a more sedate pace. She could tell as soon as she looked at the older woman's pinched face that something was wrong. "What is it?" she asked, straightening. Frances stopped, all eyes on her. She tucked a strand of grey hair behind her ear. 10 of the sheep have gone missing." She paused, corrected herself. "Were stolen." "Stolen?" Theo echoed. There had been rumours in the past few months of Highland outlaws stealing livestock from some of the larger estates. But they'd thought they were only that, rumours. "How do you know?" "On the same night, someone broke into the castle while everyone was asleep." Theo and Annabel's faces went pale. "No one was harmed," Frances assured them. "We didn't even realise they'd been there until after. They must have went through quickly, but they made off with some of the silver and some jewellery." Georgina was already moving through the inner courtyard, past the gnarled tree at the centre, pushing open the castle doors. She ran up the spiral stairway and stopped, breathing heavily, at the threshold of her bedchamber. From here, nothing looked disturbed, and she could almost imagine that no one had been in this, her private sanctuary, that no one had gone through her belongings. But then she stepped toward the small oak stand by her bed, and her breath hitched in her lungs. Normally, a music box rested there, tortoiseshell with silver trim. When the internal mechanism was wound and then released, it played a soft, slow, haunting tune. Altogether, it was a nice piece, a simple design of good material and a fairly intricate melody. But that wasn't why the loss of it threatened to cleave her chest in two. When she'd been ill as a child, when she'd been so far gone she could barely think, she remembered her mother winding the box for her, remembered that slow, pretty song. Her mother had given it to her later, when Georgina was better. She'd told Georgina to keep it for her, to protect it. Her mother had been gone many years now, but Georgina had kept the music box safe, right by her bed, in a place where she could reach out and touch it to be assured it was still there. She'd kept it like she might keep and protect a fragile piece of her own heart. And it had been taken from her, like her mother, like some vision of the future that was now dark forever. Panic flooded her chest, so cold and so heavy. At Georgina's side, her hand curled into a tight fist. Her heart was beating too fast, but the bite of nails against her palm braced her. She took 3 deep breaths, and eventually panic hardened to anger, and anger, well, that she could use. Anger she could sharpen and hone like a weapon. It could be turned into purpose. Anger was far, far better than helplessness. Before she could falter, before she could second-guess herself, she strode to the wardrobe and began tearing through her clothes, looking for things that would hold up against the Highland weather. 2 pistols with gleaming, dark wood handles and brass barrels glinted from beneath a pile of stockings. They were a gift from Aunt Frances, who'd learned to shoot at some point during her brief acting career. From an actor she'd carried out a minor flirtation with, a dalliance which, by Frances's account, had been even briefer than her acting career. Frances had, in turn, shown Annabel how to load and fire a gun, and Georgina too, when she'd expressed an interest. Georgina took the pistols, in addition to the clothes, relieved that the bandits hadn't noticed them. First, she would talk to some of Theo's tenants. They trusted her, and no doubt they'd heard the rumours about the outlaws and the stolen livestock. They might even be able to point her in the right direction. She would leave a note for Theo and Annabel, telling them she was travelling by stagecoach to visit her sister, Eleanor, in Edinburgh. And then she'd have to send a note to Eleanor so her sister wouldn't be taken by surprise if Theo mentioned it in a letter. No doubt Theo would be livid about Georgina travelling alone, but she'd deal with that when she returned. She couldn't tell him the real reason, of course, and maybe it was stupid, maybe it was reckless. But at the moment, with grief and resolve mingling to a potent brew, it only felt necessary. She was going to find the thieves. She would find them, and she would take back what was hers. Chapter 2. If anyone had asked Malcolm